So, have good questions. Have thought through the questions, right? In a participatory process, you don't know what the outcomes are going to be ahead of time, right? Which means you can't go back to, when things get really uncomfortable and stressed and stretched, you can't actually go back to what we're trying to achieve, because that may be fundamentally changing as a result of engaging with each other, right? But you can go back to, what is it that we're trying to figure out together, right? What are the questions that are driving us coming together, all right? And obviously the type of questions you're asking here, here, and here may be different, but there's nearly always some level of question that is driving the journey too. Yeah? So what are the questions, and how are those questions that people find themselves in?
Yeah, and so most of my agendas have questions, right? So just to kind of keep myself honest about not making it, actually staying in inquiry. A lot of my agendas are question-based. And also, I would just say out loud, please don't ask a question you know the answer to. People will sniff that out, and they'll know that you're not asking an authentic question. So, and if you know the answer to a question, please give the answer, and then ask the real question, right? It's okay to know things. You know, you can give what you know, you can give what's set in stone, but don't ask a question about it as if it's open, because people will know that, and or they'll feel quite angry with you when you say, oh, that's great, and my answer is.
Yeah, it's not an engagement.
Right.
No, send a memo.
That's right.
We do that in schools a lot. We ask questions of kids we know the answers to.
Yeah. People do that a lot.
Guess what's in my head? I hate that.
And it's just like questions drive engagement, statements don't. Like it's in like a question by its nature is invitation to figure something out. All right. Have a methodology. Right? It's more than just being centered and being able to hold my seat in chaos and having cracked a good question. I actually need to have designed a methodology that is going to allow us to navigate this. Right? And that methodology may change according to where you are on this trajectory. Right? But what is the methodology? What is the minimum order, back to that again, that I'm putting in place so that we can navigate the inevitable vicissitudes of figuring something out with multiple, often conflicting perspectives all in the room together? Right? Yeah. What's the process? And I figured that out beforehand. I've got my container in place. And bear in mind, the more complicated your methodology, the less space there is within it. Right? The simpler your methodology, the more space there is within it. So if you've got a huge range of, so if you've got a huge, so I'm going back and we're doing this forestry summit, and we've got advocacy groups that have been suing sawmills, and people who've been writing policy on behalf of industry from within government, and people from within government who are rebelling against the fact they're writing them about. They're all in the room together. You know, and if I put in place a really complicated methodology, there'd be no way for any of them to actually figure things out with each other, right? It's actually the more complex the situation, the simpler the methodology that you need.
But that's the control piece from yesterday, right? I mean, like that's the control piece. We can exercise or process out to a safe ending, right? Rather than actually giving space to what actually comes up.
Right.
And being able to work with it together.
Yeah.
So what is your methodology for a group that you just described?